Good Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Michelle Beck. Developing this morning, State Patrol is investigating a deadly crash in St. Paul. According to investigators, a Tesla was driving at a high rate of speed when exiting to Dale Street from I-94 when it slammed into an SUV crossing the intersection. Right now, it's not clear who was killed in the crash. When we learn anything new, you will be the first to know. Today, we are expecting new details in the case against accused assassin Vance Belter as he heads back to court. He's charged with killing Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman and her husband and leading authorities on the biggest manhunt in Minnesota history. Audrey is at the Sherburne County Jail with what's happening.
Yeah, because Vance Belter is a federal detainee, that's why he's being held in the Sherburne County Jail behind me. Now, about 30 miles away at the federal courthouse in Minneapolis, that is where Belter is scheduled for a status conference today. Now, Belter is charged with the June 14th assassination of Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark, and the shooting of State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. Now, you can see his status conference listed on the federal court website. Status conferences involve scheduling future court dates and discussing possible trial dates. Now, this court appearance comes just one day after an independent review into the attacks was announced. The International Association of Chiefs of Police will look into how law enforcement responded to the shooting and to the 43-hour manhunt that followed. Now, the goal of this review is to strengthen future law enforcement responses, and it's expected to take 6 months to complete. But for now, I'll send things back to you.
A look from Capitol Hill this morning, where the House is preparing to vote today on a bill to finally end the 43-day-long government shutdown. The bill that already cleared the Senate funds the government through the end of January. Now, if it passes, President Trump could sign it into law tonight and reopen the government. But questions remain about how quickly air travel can get back to full capacity and when those SNAP recipients will get their full food assistance. NBC's Alice Barr is live in Washington with the details.
Hi there. It is going to take time to unwind from all the consequences of this government shutdown, and there is still a fight ahead. In a late-night Rules Committee meeting, the top Democrat in the House tried to get an amendment to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies for 3 years. Republicans blocked it, many arguing the program at the center of this fight doesn't work.
On what could be the final day of the nation's longest government shutdown, House members are racing back to Washington to cast a critical vote on the Senate-passed short-term funding bill.
Welcome back from your taxpayer-funded 7-week vacation.
Democratic leadership slamming the House Speaker's move to keep members out of session while the shutdown dragged on, as Republicans pin the pain on Democrats.
For 42 days and counting, Democrats have held the country hostage.
House Democrats set to vote against the deal a breakaway group of Senate moderates agreed to, angered that it does nothing to address the central sticking point of lowering health care costs and extending Affordable Care Act tax credits.
Health care costs are still poised to double or even triple for some folks practically overnight.
With a newly elected Democrat being sworn in today, House Republicans can only afford to lose 2 votes. It is expected to pass and secure President Trump's signature.
We're opening up our country. Should have never been closed.
Relief can't come soon enough for the nation's airports, where flight delays and cancellations are growing.
It has to be the shutdown. What else could it be? This has never happened to me before.
The Transportation Secretary warning the situation driven by staffing shortages will get much worse if the shutdown stretches into the weekend.
If this doesn't open, you might have airlines that say, we're going to ground our planes.
A lot on the line in the final push to get the government back in business.
Even if the funding bill passes and President Trump signs it tonight, officials are warning a shutdown is not an on-off switch. Airlines say they won't be able to bounce back to full capacity right away. Delays also expected for the 40 million Americans waiting for full SNAP food assistance benefits. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
Yeah, okay, so as it stands, a provision in that bill has some craft breweries in Minnesota nervous because it could ban THC products derived from hemp. THC seltzers have grown in popularity as an alternative to alcohol over the last few years. Many breweries claim it was their lifeline after the pandemic. In 2018, when Congress passed the Farm Bill, it legalized hemp-derived products, allowing for the creation of those seltzers. But a letter signed by 38 attorneys general, including Minnesota's Keith Ellison, asked Congress to close what they call a loophole, allowing for, quote, Frankenstein THC products that get adults high and harm and even kill children. While those concerns stem from illicit gummies that appeal to kids, industry experts say the law change would also affect the THC beverage industry.
In our world, about 62% of our revenue comes from hemp-based THC.
Would some of them potentially go out of business because of this?
Absolutely, yeah.
If the House passes it with the current language, the new law would go into effect in a year. This morning, there are fewer flight cancellations than even a couple days ago at MSP, but the transportation secretary says things will get worse if the government doesn't reopen soon. So what can you do if you need to travel? Well, here are some things you may want to remember. First, air traffic controllers are more fatigued and financially stressed. Second, those workers will need retraining before returning to duty. And third, it takes a while for airports to stabilize again. Experts say airports may feel chaotic in the meantime.
Before all the ripples get through the system, it's going to be maybe 6 months of things going on. Now, a lot of that's not going to be stuff that the average person sees.
Experts are cautiously optimistic about booking a flight over Thanksgiving, but advise you to choose tickets that offer flight credits, opt for nonstop flights, and early morning departure times. This morning, Target is helping shoppers trying to stretch their budgets this holiday season. The company says it's lowering prices on thousands of groceries and household goods. The Minneapolis-based retailer says it's slashing prices on everything from pantry staples to baby items. The price cuts are set to take effect later this month. Aside from Target, Cub Foods also announcing it is reducing prices by 40% on more than 30 grocery items. 2 teens are behind bars this morning after a string of carjackings in Minneapolis Monday. Police say the 2 kids, ages 15 and 16, allegedly stole 3 cars in 4 separate instances. In one case, the teens allegedly jumped a mother, putting her child in the back seat. A couple hours later, authorities say they carjacked Minneapolis City Council member Jamal Osman near Lake Street and Portland Avenue.
He had a mace. Hand the key to me, hand the key to me. Another person was holding his weight, like he was pretending he had a gun.
MPD says within minutes of Osman being carjacked, officers spotted his car and another car the suspects had stolen. After a police chase, MPD says both teens were arrested. This morning, 3 people from Minneapolis are now charged with stealing from stores in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Police say it's all part of a much bigger theft ring. Officials in Eau Claire say the 3 were arrested with products from Ulta Beauty from a mall in Eau Claire. But police say they got the call from Scheels, where employees recognized them from a theft days earlier. Police say the 3 have been linked to more than $150,000 worth of retail theft across Minnesota and Wisconsin. Right now, a group of Hudson Public School parents is threatening to take the school district to court after the board voted to close 2 elementary schools. Last month, the board voted to close Willow River and Holton Elementary schools for financial reasons, a move they say would save $3.4 million. An attorney for the parents says they believe the district is moving too fast. The lawyer says she is drafting a notice of claim to send to the district.
The notice of claim is, it's basically kind of an outline of here are the things that you've done, here are the legal issues or the legal challenges that we believe that we have to what actions you've taken, here are the facts to support that.
And she says this move gives the district an opportunity to change or reverse course before a lawsuit's filed. The district says they'll have a final redistricting plans in February. On our way to break, we need to take a look at these incredible pictures we've been getting on the Northern Lights show last night in the metro. They were so bright, people in the city of Minneapolis could see them even with all that light pollution. Forecasters issued a severe G4 geomagnetic storm watch, which is rare for Tuesday and Wednesday. Really incredible photos, and we're expecting more tonight. Do stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.